Welcome, everybody, to the Mack and Riley podcast, where we talk about health and bodybuilding and everything in between. This is the first episode, and I'm excited to get started and get rolling. Mac, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It is Saturday, so we are on the weekend. I would say we're having a chill weekend, but I don't think either of us are having quite the chill weekend, but we like it that way.
Someone asked about, hey, can you get me a biography back for some certain thing? It's like, hey, can I do it by the end of the day? And they said, sure, it's the weekend. It's like, you know what? It's Friday episode 2. I think we're rolling, son.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
How are you today, Riley?
Good, great. This is the first podcast, Mac. We've been talking about this for at least a month.
Longer than that.
Longer than a month. We've been planning this out, and then one day we just said, you know what? We're going to get on and record this thing. And so I'm stoked about it.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a month, but lately life feels like last week was like last year. So I honestly don't know.
Last week was last year. A month ago was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
New dude who this. New dude who this. New chick who this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, cool. Let's start this off. I figured we can talk about, one, how you and I met, kind of the ECA and some of the stuff that we've gone through there, what we bonded over there in the beginning, and kind of how it led to all this. Mac, I'll let you lead.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, ECA is our mentor Justin's mentorship program. And me and Riley were in there when it was on WhatsApp. Now it's on a different platform called WAP. But I was going through some stuff at the time, which I'll dive into a little bit in a second. And I knew Riley was also going through some stuff because he mentioned in the chat that he had done the quote unquote gut blitz himself. So I was like, I'm going to reach out to him directly and kind of see how that went, kind of his experience with it, what he was experiencing before going into the gut blitz, why he decided to do it, and just kind of pick his brain about it. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to message this guy. He has no idea who I am outside of like the group messaging platform, but we had never talked directly. And then we just started talking ad nauseum about pretty much gut stuff. But I guess, Riley, explain a little bit of your backstory with the gut blitz and why you went that path, maybe even how you found ECA too.
Yeah, so that's the reason I started working with Justin. It was crazy. Last year, around mid-year, I had done a consultation with Justin, kind of talking about business and content, and he made some really cool recommendations, and then had sort of a quick little blurb about, oh, by the way, I think I'm going to start easing out of coaching and start pouring myself into this thing called Elite Coaching Academy. If you'd like to drop in, please do. Here's some information. I was like, cool, this was a really great consultation. Thank you for all the information. Like, I'm so grateful for everything you shared. Like, you know how Justin is. Anything he shares, like, it's so much value in a short period of time. And he went off. I was like, this elite coaching thing, this seems pretty cool. But at the time, I was nearing the end of my off season last year, and I was like 6,000 calories, something like that. I had just started doubling down on content, things like that, i.e. why I reached out to Justin for some advice, and things got really stressful. And there was this one day, and I regret it completely, where I was trying to batch create a bunch of content, and each video, I swear, was 100 takes each. I was just overthinking it, overdoing it, getting super stressed. And that night, I was like, I don't do cheat meals in the off season. I mean, I will every once in a while, but once food starts getting high, I just really don't want it. I want to mess with my gut. But this particular night, I thought, I'm going to have a pizza. I'm stressed. I'm going to have a pizza. The next day,
where the pizza was from? Was it a local place? Was it Domino's? Was it Pizza Hut?
It was a local place, yeah. Okay. And it happened to be covered in blue cheese, which I don't like blue cheese. So it wasn't that good anyway to me. And the next day it was immediately started breaking out in a bunch of acne. Ugh. A bunch of acne, stress, pizza, all the above. I had probably been forcing my gut quite a long time with higher food. I'm someone who doesn't eat higher food. And then that was the straw that quote unquote broke the camel's back. And I was like, I don't know how to fix this. I had been doing a lot of learning through Austin Stout at the time and using a lot of his advice, and it was helping me out a ton. But at this point, I was thinking, I need this fixed fast and faster than anyone. And my mind immediately went to Justin.
We know that he fixes things faster than anyone.
So. That was it. It's like, immediately, let's start working with Justin. And then the two options were, well, should I get coached by Justin, or should I be taught exactly what he does, among other things? Made the latter decision, ended up in ECA that way. And then dove into what we like to call a gut blitz. It's like you want to clear the gut as fast as possible. Went through that. It wasn't fun, but got the acne cleared in the meantime. And then as I was asking questions about that, Mac, you had just joined at the time. It was like, hey, what is this said gut blitz?
Yeah, I was
How
like,
was your experience? And what's going on? So what was going on with you at the time with that? Why were you considering gut blitz, and what caused you to reach out to the ECA, really?
yeah. So I this time frame, I think I reached out to you probably like, when was that? Like November of 2024
Yep.
around.
Yep.
So at this time, I had done my show in September. So I was like a couple months post show. And obviously, like, there's going to be some wonky things post show, especially with females. But like, my reverse went great. Everything went awesome, but I was just not feeling good. Like, I was feeling worse than I did on like the worst days of prep. And by that, I mean like just fatigue, brain fog. It took me like double the amount of time to do things. Just like, I didn't have more work on my plate, but it took me so long to think and actually complete things that it felt just like so overwhelming, to a point where I never ever take time off of work. And I was like, clients, I need to take a week off because my coaching is just, it's not there right now. Like, I need a full reset to provide you guys with the best coaching quality. I need to take a little bit of a step back. And they were all very, very understanding of that. But I was like, okay, I need to figure out what is going on. I was like, is it thyroid? Is it sex hormones? What is it? Like, something is going array here. And like, yes, sex hormones were a little bit off. Thyroid was a little bit off, but nothing too crazy. So I was like, okay, there's gotta be something. So my mind went to, okay, I'm just going to pull a GI map. Well, actually, before I pulled the GI map, I reached out to you because I was like, maybe I should just do the blitz and see how it helps, see where it goes. I definitely am the type of person who likes to test and not guess, because I was like, well, what if there's nothing wrong with my gut? Like, and I'm just doing this sort of for no reason. So I chatted with Riley for a good bit about his experience with the gut blitz, all of that. I guess right now is a great time for you to say like how your experience was with the gut blitz. I think viewers are probably wondering too, like, how would I know if I need to do said gut blitz?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different reasons why you'd want to absolutely clear your gut out completely. And acne is a big one. Acne starts in the gut. And if you can't handle it and it's not going away, if you're not getting a handle on your acne and you're sure that it's gut related, gut blitz is a great place to go. But if you also have SIBO, that's a great place to start. If you have something in your gut, like that comes up in a GI map, some overgrowth of some sort that you don't want, GI blitz or gut blitz is going to be a great place to start, because really what we do is you're going to stop eating. You need to clear the stuff out in your gut that's causing problems. Anything in your gut needs to go. So you spend about 3 days doing a liquid fast, or as long as you can. In some cases, we've heard some people with severe SIBO go about a week, sometimes 2.
And the thing is too, and I know Justin talks about this a lot, is like, if you have severe gut issues, you might think you're hungry, but you're not.
And that's how long for me, it took a couple days. I was physiologically hungry after a couple days. In this severe case, it sounded like it took a week for this person to get physiologically hungry. Like, there's a difference between just missing food and then at the point where your body is done clearing things out and it needs nutrients and it's starting to signal that. So you start out by clearing out all your gut. You'll do some things like bone broth, do some aloe vera juice, lemon
I think you
juice,
said like some orange juice as well, just for like glucose.
orange juice if you need it for energy. Yeah, we're not training. We're doing minimal cardio, walks outside. Circadian rhythm's huge. You're getting sunlight in the eyes and you kind of just survive for those few days. And then you start coming in with your killers, your antimicrobials, or you start out with your EDTA. You break down your biofilms, open up biofilms. You feel very nauseous when you do that. So ginger tea helps a ton. Open up your biofilms, and then you come in with your killers, your antimicrobials, clear that out, get your binder in, and then you repeat for as many days as you can handle.
Repeat. I remember studying that so many times. Like, okay, because my mind was in such a muddled spot. I was like, okay, how am I going to plan this? What time do I need to take X supplement? How long do I need to wait to eat? And I read that like so many times because my brain was so like, it couldn't comprehend anything. So like, trying to do that for myself, it was a lot to take.
That is not. And at this point, you were how many weeks out from your show? How many weeks post show?
A while, because this was like November, end of November, and I'd competed early September. So I wasn't still in that like contest prep depleted state. My food was already raised pretty high.
Full recovery. Yeah, you should have been feeling fantastic at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and when you do a gut blitz, when you do something that severe, you want to make sure you do it right because it's not fun. It feels like prep. You feel exhausted. It's not fun. And then you're killing things off. You get, the symptoms associated with, killing off bad bacteria. It doesn't feel good. And so you want to make sure you do it right. But it's very effective. So for me, it cleared up acne within a few weeks and it helped a ton. And that kind of sparked everything. But I remember in the background, you're like, how are you feeling? How did it go? Should I do it? Should I not? So, and you,
I don't know, girl. I can't tell you if you should do it.
I can't tell you. What I can say is make sure that you are very strong in your decision because it's not fun.
Yeah, I remember you saying that and me being like, well, should I just do it? So long story short, as you guys can assume, I didn't end up doing the gut blitz per se. I ended up pulling a GI map. If you're interested in GI maps, hit either of us up. We can hook you up. But so I ended up pulling a GI map. Most everything looked good, except I had a parasite, which I think the gut blitz would take care of a parasite, but I wanted something more specific to amoebas since I knew what was going on. Because in your case, it could have been a lot of different things, just general dysbiosis, like leaky gut. It could have been several different things, but you got it figured out in the end. So with me, I had a practitioner put me together. Basically, like Riley said, a similar kill phase is what it was. We went in with antimicrobials, antiparasitics, and kind of just killed that guy off. I mean, I'm assuming it's an amoeba, so there's like many of them as they repopulate, but it was actually insane because I didn't really have any die-off symptoms. I had maybe a little bit of nausea from the biofilm disruptor, but I didn't have really anything bad. Just kind of some like, oh, my gut feels a little bit off right now, but I was already experiencing that anyway, so wasn't really a big deal. I was also not hungry at all before I started. Like I would just eat because it's time to eat, but I wasn't hungry. I wasn't full, but I was just like, I'm not interested in this, but I'm going to eat.
Yeah. And post-show, you're ravage hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like not interested in food at all. When my coach would rate my food, I'm like, ugh. And then I guess the reason I got into ECA was because I wanted Justin's help, but I didn't want to leave my coach. I didn't want to leave him, but I knew that Justin had more expertise in this area. So I was like, okay, I'll go into the mentorship, figure this all out on my own, convey it to my coach. We'll go from there. So anyways, once I started the kill, maybe a week or two in, I noticed it felt like my brain almost came back on. It's the best way that I can explain it. Mm-hmm. It just felt like I'm coming home to myself almost like, whoa. And I know people are probably wondering like, how did you get a parasite? Like what's going on here? Parasites are actually way more common than people think. I know like a handful of people that have gotten a GI map and they have parasites. So it's not this like weird thing that only happens in like non-developed countries. I feel like that's a lot of times what people think. My hypothesis of how I got it. Very, very close post-show, I had to get a antibiotic for a UTI. And I know you have history with antibiotics too. Absolutely. Regarding the gut blitz, which interesting correlation there. My body was already in such a sensitive state. So my beneficial bacteria was already probably not good due to like lack of food variety, lack of food in general, stress, just everything.
Antibiotics, they kill all bacteria. Yeah. It's savage. It wipes everything out.
Yeah. So at this point, I didn't want to take antibiotics, but I didn't really have an option. I was scared that UTI was going to turn into a kidney infection because I was in so much pain. So I was just like, just give it to me, please. Like, just give it to me. If I knew what was going to happen afterward, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I would still want the UTI gone, of course, but I think I would have looked into more, I guess, natural or holistic routes of getting rid of the UTI. But at that point, I was like, I will do anything. So took the antibiotic, and during this time of me trying to figure out, like, okay, what is going on? It always came back to the antibiotic. I was like, after the antibiotic, this is when stuff started happening. It's like, what? That's why I was like, it's probably gut related. And I was correct. So my hypothesis is post-show, I was having a lot of sushi, not crappy sushi, like good grade sushi, But even so, raw fish can contain parasites, even if it's A1 quality. So what I'm thinking is my beneficial bacteria was gone. I potentially got exposed to a parasite from the sushi that I was having, and I didn't have any good gut bugs to fight that off. So it just took over a little bit.
But now you're feeling better with slightly different things to tackle as you're in your peak off season.
Yeah. Yeah. So I pulled another GI map to be sure the parasite was gone because once again, I'm a tester. I got to actually see the data. I was like, I think it's gone based off the way I feel, but I need to be sure that these boys are out. So it was gone. And then I noticed that H. pylori was marked as high on my GI map. So we are kind of in the midst of that right now and figuring that out. Thankfully, I don't have any H. pylori symptoms. So that would look like indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux. Those are the kind of typical H. pylori symptoms. I don't have any of those, but I still want to tackle it because I would hate for those symptoms to arise. I just ignore it. So that's kind of where we're at today. How's everything going with your gut journey post blitz and reinoculation and all that?
Yeah, everything's great now. And this kind of leads into our first topic. So that's a great background on both of us, how we met, the things we were going through. Obviously in the background, we were talking a ton about like our different experiences with different gut blitzes and now my curiosity and what you're handling now as well. But you are how many weeks out from your show now?
Lordy, I don't even know. It's June 21st. So my projected show is December 6th.
I always do a quick little Google of, so you're 24 weeks out.
Okay. I'm 24 weeks out.
24 weeks out. Cool. And I'm about 20. My show is on November 15th. And so I'm roughly, I think 21 weeks out, something like that. And at this point, you handling the different gut concerns that you have still amongst all of the different things that we are now getting into, like starting a podcast and heading into more advanced phases of our business and professional aspects of what we do. And a big part of it is the resilience and making sure that your gut is taken care of in that process. And now that I have all of my gut concerns are taken care of, but making sure that something like that doesn't crop up again and handling stress along the way because of how closely related stress is with, say, even your stomach acid, right? So the more stressed you are, your stomach acid will decrease and you won't be able to digest food very well. You'll start seeing your bowel movements change. So for instance, what's really common and why it's important to maintain a sense of mental resilience when trying to balance a bodybuilding prep or with your job, with your family, anything you have going on, is that stress component. Because once your stomach acid starts dropping, your stress slows down, your bowel movements as it is, things kind of sit a little bit longer. Something that's really common is folks who are really stressed throughout the week. They're balancing a lot and they're trying to handle pressure. And then the weekend rolls around, have a nice cheat meal, relax, hang out with your family, and bowel movements start to improve again. And a lot of times people think that when you have a cheat meal, that it's something in the food that you're eating that's stimulating your bowel movements or something, or increasing digestion, or even the common case of, I had a cheat meal and it increased my metabolism, which in a lot of cases, you'll say I dropped weight, right? I had a cheat meal and I dropped weight. And a lot of times it has to do with, well, you might have been really fatigued, especially if you're really pushing it in a push phase or contest prep or anything. And then your body weight will drop, and it's just because you're dropping that stress.
Yeah.
And if you're really stressed throughout the week, then your bowel movements improve. And we all know how closely our health is with our mental performance. So being cognizant of that, not being stressed that you're stressed. Once you get stressed out and you're like, oh, I'm stressed that I'm stressed.
I'm
And then
very familiar with that.
it snowballs from there.
I'm like,
For
okay,
sure.
now I'm stressed that I'm stressed. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
I'm stressed about what the stress is going to do. And this kind of is more of like a bodybuilding topic, but it's insane to think about how much just stress can ruin a look or ruin a prep. I mean, well, not ruin a prep, but you're going to have to push so much harder versus if like cortisol is managed, life's in a good spot, relationships in a good spot, financially in a good spot. It's going to be a totally different prep.
100%. You're digesting food different. If you're digesting food different, you're processing nutrients different. So everything downstream of that, for sure. And so maintaining some sense of resilience, or like what I like to call adversity quotient, right? How can you handle how do you handle adversity, right? How resilient are you? Resourceful are you when things come up? And how are you able to discern between what you can control, what you can't control, where you place blame on yourself versus external circumstances, right? So you could very easily say, "Oh, I'm not able to do what I want to do because my gut isn't functioning well." Well, what if the choices that you make and the way you're handling adversity affects the way that your gut responds? And now you're blaming the thing rooted back to the decisions you make and how you handle things. Like my biggest issue throughout the day is time management and prioritizing. We all can relate to that. And so at the end of the day, if you don't prioritize well, it's either I have to go to bed later, or I don't handle a couple of the things that I wanted to get done.
Or you don't have that time for yourself.
Or you don't have the time for yourself.
That's what I find. And I've gotten so much better with my boundaries with that too, because I'm like, work is always going to be there. That message is going to be there in the morning. That form review is going to be there in the morning. It's not a life or death question. And I think sometimes you probably relate to putting that pressure on yourself of like, oh, Sally needs me. I need to reply to Sally now. But Sally's good. She's not respecting or expecting a reply right now. She's fine if you get back to her in the morning. But I think as coaches and high performing coaches, we expect ourselves to obviously serve our clients well. So I've gone through definite phases of putting myself on the back burner and being like, this time will be there. But the way that I think about it now is like, okay, work is always going to be there, but taking time for myself won't always be there.
So what are your, and this is one of the most important things that I've learned in bodybuilding and managing coaching, is having boundaries, but two, around your non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables that if I don't meet or continue or prioritize these non-negotiables, that I will be a worse coach, I will be a worse leader, I will be a worse bodybuilder? So for everybody's sake, these are the things that I need to prioritize, draw boundaries around, make sure it is reasonable, but then also communicating that so everybody knows. So a question for you, Mac, is what are your non-negotiables?
It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people's non-negotiables are things that they're like, oh, I so look forward to like doing this. Mine are things that I'm like, I really could skip this. I really don't want to do this because I could be spending my time elsewhere. But I do it anyway. So putting my phone away long before I go to bed. Because if I'm in bed on my phone scrolling, like you put on your story a couple days ago, I'm going to sleep like crap. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and be ready to go.
It happens every single.
And it's so easy to do. Like if you're like, man, I deserve it. I just want to like scroll on Instagram. I just want to like rot here. So putting my phone away, leave it. Instagram will be there in the morning. Messages will be there in the morning. You don't need it. 2, before going to bed, I write my to-do list for the next day. If I don't do that, then my brain will be running on what do I have to do tomorrow? What do I have to do tomorrow? What do I have to do tomorrow? And I just need to get it out. Get it out, put it on paper, and then my brain's good to go to bed. The next morning, I will wake up, like go out in the sun, if the sun is out, which with moving to Idaho, that does scare me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Does make me a little bit nervous, but go and journal my intentions for the day. And this is the time where I will recognize like, okay, how am I feeling? Am I feeling a little bit wound up? I'm going to journal on it. And I'll usually do some sort of mantra. Like I do not identify as a stressed person or something like that. Just to like set the tone for my day, because I think a lot of times we can identify ourselves with these like negative characteristics and be like, I'm just such a high strung person. I'm so stressed out. I'm so anxious. But then you're like, okay, why are you telling yourself? The more you tell yourself that, the more you're going to become that. So even if I don't 110% believe I'm not stressed, I'm still going to pretend like I'm not, essentially.
It's in the back of your mind. And then it's confirmation bias for the rest of the day. Like, I knew I'd be stressed today, or I knew I'd be. Yeah, that's huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about yours?
Yeah, that's so funny because it relates to what you do with yourself right before bed and right when you wake up. The times that you truly are to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really stressing the importance of we got to find different ways to say it, right? Because if you say, what is your night routine? What is your morning routine? Folks will laugh it off. It's like, then it becomes a meme, right? Like there was so many things going around like morning routine. First thing, wipe off my the mouth tape, do this, and then it became a joke, and then
Yeah,
and then
because that one guy, I don't know his name. This like in depth. Wake up at 3:30 a.m. with me. Ice bowl of water in my face. Like this. I know you're talking.
And if that's your non-negotiable, that's your non-negotiable. But it became a joke. And when it's a joke, then it's a joke. Having a morning routine, if you don't respect that, the rest of your day will follow that. And that sounds kind of jumbled. Mine are the very same. The cool thing about bodybuilders is we are very consistent. If you're not consistent, you're not a good bodybuilder. You'll never make it.
You have to be some level of pretty neurotic to be a good bodybuilder. You won't
100%. You have to be so perfectly consistent. Like I mean, it's the same time every day.
Utterly obsessed with the sport, or you will burn out. You won't want to.
100%. Yes, and having those non-negotiables, which in a lot of people, if everything's your non-negotiable, then you will burn out too. But having that as part of your lifestyle means that you're very good at drawing correlation between things. So if I'm very consistent and I do the same thing every day, and I go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, and if one night the only thing different is I'm on my phone right before I go to bed, and then I get a really bad night of sleep, the probability is very high that being on my phone before bed was the reason I couldn't get good sleep. And so my non-negotiable and points I have been able to prove that, like if tonight I lay down to go to bed and I play on my phone all night, I will wake up at 2 a.m. and be ready to go almost every time.
Yep.
So my non-negotiable is the same. An hour before bed, I will sit down, I do my daily check-in. I will write down in a journal, yes, things that stop processing new information. When you go to bed, when you go to bed, your mind resolves and what's the word I'm looking for? Solidifies things that happened that day and puts that into your subconscious. It processes everything you learned, all of your memories, so on and so forth. So reverse can happen if you are still learning things before you go to bed, like through social media, then you're doing the opposite thing that your brain does while you're sleeping, and then you don't sleep very well. Go ahead. And then as you go to sleep, your brain is thinking that same thing. It's reflecting that. You spend all night, you might even wake up with a dream and still be thinking, oh, what if I did this, that, or the other?
Or like you sleep, but it doesn't feel restful because in your dream, you're like working.
Exactly.
Why? Can I please get right?
Yes. So my non-negotiable, an hour before bed, I put the phone away. I do my daily check-in. And then I write in a journal the things that I learned that day. I'm going to spend between the hour that I do this and go to bed thinking about what did I learn that day. I want to put that in my brain and remember those things. And then by the time I'm going to bed, I'm already one step ahead. And then I will absolutely not be on my phone in that hour before that bed. That's a non-negotiable. And then first thing in the morning, next non-negotiable is I will not look at my phone for at least 30 minutes to an hour. Like I will actually meditate and think about nothing for 5 minutes. I will wake up. I will drink my water and my prime potion right away. Then I will put together the supplements that I would take for in the morning. I'll do like citrulline, arginine, alpha GPC, agmatine sulfate, maybe a little methylene blue every once in a while. And then I will sit and meditate for 5 minutes and let myself just not think about anything before the day, and then revisit those tasks from that journal the night before, tackle 1 or 2 big things that need to be done immediately before I do my first meal. If I don't do that, the whole rest of the day is scattered. I'm not a good coach. I'm not a good leader. I'm not good at doing content. Everything is messed up from there. So those are my non-negotiables and my meals. My meals are my non-negotiable. If it's time to eat, it's time to eat.
Non-negotiable for me, but I didn't even think of it because it's just like, of course,
Because it's so regular.
Of course,
What happens if you stop eating? Like, oh, you missed a meal, and then you're down about it, and then your body responds different, and it becomes a whole thing.
Yeah, it absolutely does. But I wonder if this ever happens to you, because this does happen to me, working on it. Like, if you, I guess, let's say you're doing that 10-minute meditation time, do you ever get anxious? Like, okay, I need to get started on work. I need to get back to these people. I need to look at my phone. I need to see who caught.
If I look at my phone in the hour before bed or that time before I meditate, then yes. Because I'll be thinking about specifically, like, who sent me a message? What's going on? Because sometimes clients will send something late at night. Hey, this happened. And that is my priority. If something happens with a client that is priority, that takes priority. Everything else is on the back burner until that's done. So if I see that before bed, I'm thinking about it all night. If I see that first thing in the morning, I'm thinking about that immediately and I'm anxious about it. So I have to, it doesn't exist until I'm ready to process it. Then I look at my phone, then I process it. And typically first thing in the morning, you know, there's whatever it is, like maybe there's something I'm learning that I want to make sure that I have down pat. I'm looking at that. I'm reviewing it. Maybe it's a client case that I'm learning through or making sure that I have perfectly. I'm giving that a last look over. It's me versus some document or some learning material. There's no external input. And then when I'm done and ready, I'll have my gut health drink and I'll get on the treadmill and I'll start walking. Then I'm on my phone. Then I see who's talking to me. Then I'll look through social media. Now it's time to wake up. If I don't do that, yeah, the whole day is just, it's different.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just curious because I think it also goes deeper into like the dopamine release with technology. Even if we didn't work from our phones and like have that going on, I think just for the average person, there's almost a level of FOMO. Like, what am I missing that was posted? Who's trying to contact me that I haven't looked at yet? Like, is something going on in group chats? Like, I want to be involved. So there's a little bit like, wake up. Oh, I need to rush to the phone. Like, what happened in these 8 hours that I was away from?
Yeah. One of the quickest way to get your wheels turning is check out the group chat in ECA and then start looking through all of that, see what you missed. And then your wheels just start turning from there. Yeah. It's like, I got to be ready for that.
You're like, man, I am dumb.
Yeah. But that's really important on the point of resilience is that when you run a business on your phone, when your business is based on social media and making content and interacting with people on your apps, whatever it is, we are inherently dopamine driven. And so the biggest thing, I would say another non-negotiable, one of the biggest things that makes sure that I can stay resilient is I have to have a good 20 to 30 minutes to myself throughout the day without dopamine. So if I'm sitting if I get stuck on a client case, or if I'm learning something and my brain starts to slow down and I'm not processing as well, and relate this to the, you know, somebody who has any sort of job, if you're getting hips deep in something and you are starting to stress about it, you're trying to figure it out and you're hitting a wall, what's the first thing you do to try to fix it? You get on social media and you start scrolling. So you try to solve a dopamine activity with a dopamine activity. You're not resting. You're not taking a break. You're just active in a different way. So you might as well be going down your to-do list and say, I hit a wall with this. Let me do this next. Let me do this next. And so my biggest hack, I set everything down. I go outside, I walk outside in the sun and I let my mind wander. It's like, I'm going to get 0 dopamine for the next 20 minutes while I walk around. And almost every time that I do that, the answer comes to me. One of the most impactful sayings is that when a problem arises, so does the solution. And if a problem arises in something that we're doing and I walk outside and I let my mind wander, guess what happens? I find the solution almost every time. All I had to do was let my mind wander.
Kind of similar. Something that I like doing is after training. So I'll usually work in the morning, go to the gym around like 1. Come home, eat. After that, I do kind of the second half of my work for the day. But in between eating, my cortisol is still ramped from training. I'm feeling kind of like I need to finish my stuff for the day. Just feeling a little bit like depending on the day, kind of like flustered, like, okay, I need to get this done. I need to do this. I need to do that. So I'll go lay outside and do like box breathing. So that is so helpful. And every single time after that, I'm like, everything's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Nothing is that
Yeah.
deep. It's okay. It is okay.
That's such a hack. Cause yeah, you're right. You get done training and your nervous system just went wild.
Yeah.
And then you're about to go handle some other tasks. And you've been away from your phone for a couple hours. So you've got people that want to talk to you. You've got some things you need to resolve. It's like that seems like such a good hack to bridge that gap between high output activity to going back into
And
high
like,
performance.
they're both a stressor. Even if you don't think like, oh, I'm not stressed out when I'm training. It's not about that. It's still stressing your central nervous system because you're training hard. So I don't feel like, oh, I'm anxious, I'm stressed at the gym, unless I am, which that would be rare. But it's more so of like a CNS response. And then going from that to I'm nervous, I need to finish this stuff with work. There needs to be some sort of leverage in there, I found for myself.
That's huge. That actually brings up another question. If you know you have some really important tasks to do after you train, do you actually auto-regulate how hard you train that day in order to quote unquote save, I hate to say it, but save energy for those things you have? Like say you have 3 new client protocols to make that evening, but you also have legs to do. You know, if you do legs hard, the rest of the day is going to be a bear. Is that something you have to
I
balance?
actually don't do that. I actually don't do that because the way that I structure my week is I try to keep my leg day so funny because it's such like a bodybuilder thing to actually like plan your life around what you do at the gym. I train legs Monday, Thursday. So I try to keep Mondays and Thursdays. Like I have a check-in day on Monday, but it's a little bit shorter than Tuesday, Wednesday. Check-in day, it's more like back-end work day, form videos, getting people's programs ready for the next week. So Tuesday and Wednesday are like my pretty like high strung days. Monday can be, but usually it's pretty smooth sailing. So I kind of auto regulate, but it's almost like I auto regulate my schedule. And then Sundays are always a rest day for me. And that's the day that I'm like getting prepped for the next week.
Did we lose you? I think that's a really good way to do it, is actually structure your week we lost Mac, but we're getting close to the episode here. That's a really good way to handle that, is if you structure your week in a way that you are able to increase your chances of being more resilient versus if in my case, I just do like a push-pull legs off, but it's rotating. So I might do legs on a Thursday. It might be legs on a Monday. And it doesn't quite correlate with the workload. And so making sure that you are able to maintain resiliency by planning yourself out early and giving yourself less things to blame later. Like, oh, I couldn't handle whatever I had to do that day because I had a large leg day to do and I was exhausted, right? Well, maybe put your leg day on a specific day that you know you have a lower workload, and then that doesn't become an issue. So this was a really good podcast. This was episode 1. We dove into how Mac and I met, why we met and how we started chatting about gut health and how we sort of bonded over that, and then how that leads into resiliency in the way that we balance coaching and bodybuilding at the same time, how that relates to gut health, and different hacks that we can do to maintain that resiliency, maintain that balance, and make sure that you're able to perform at a high level at all times because you have those non-negotiables, you have boundaries around them, you communicate those boundaries. You let people know, hey, I will not be communicating at this time, an hour before bed. Here's my bedtime, whatever it is. And then you can show up at your best self, be that high performing person that you can be, and are able to ride through more difficult times that way and not sacrificing your non-negotiables, not sacrificing your boundary for the sake of anything that comes up, because we all know as soon as you start sacrificing negotiables, maybe that's time with family. Maybe that's things you do before bed that affect your sleep. Maybe that's the way you eat that affects how you digest, which in turn affects your mood or affects your bodybuilding in any sort of way. So the biggest takeaway is having boundaries, having non-negotiables, and then being able to prioritize each of those things with your life versus what you need to get done in your work or whatever clients you have so that you can show up as your best self. But this was a fantastic first episode. We will be back on here shortly with another one, and I appreciate you all for listening. We will talk again soon. We will see you later.